What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, we've got a special video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how I think Kurt Busch is going to perform in 2022 and the backstory behind it. So, it was confirmed this past week that Kurt Busch will be driving the number 45 for 2311 Racing in 2022. The reason he'll be driving the number 45 car is it has a lot of evidence to Michael Jordan, as Michael Jordan, of course, at 23 was significant to him from the Chicago Bulls that Bubba Wallace currently drives right now. But the 45 was the number that he chose when he played in the minor leagues, and also when he made his return to the NBA as well. And Kyle Petty also approved it as well. Denny Hamlin got a lot of permission from Kyle Petty to be able to do it. So that's why the 45 was chosen and has a lot of significance for him. It is a multi-year deal that Kurt Busch is going to have for 2022, and it's probably at least going to be a 2 or 3 year deal. I would assume that next year probably is at least a 2 or 3 year deal, but Kurt Busch at least will be there for 2 years at the moment. He also will have Monster Energy sponsoring for a majority of the year. Now, the exact amount of races that Monster Energy is going to sponsor him in 2022 is unknown currently at the moment, but it's probably going to be a majority year. Maybe they somehow get Gear Wrench to come over. Maybe they'll have some other sponsors like DraftKings come on and sponsor him. We'll have to wait and see what happens right here. And let's talk about this. This is huge in a lot of ways. He's going to be working with not only Denny Hamlin, who's one of the best drivers currently in the NASCAR Cup Series, or now arguably the best driver to not win a NASCAR Cup Series championship at the moment. Maybe you may driver for Mark Martin too, but he's working with him. But he's also working with arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan has said that he wants this team to be really, really good and wants them to be very, very competitive right away. He's also going to be teammates with Bubba Wallace, who currently drives the number 23 for 2311 Racing going into the 2022 season. So he's going to be working with a driver that he has already worked with in the past. Now, when you talk about Kurt Busch is a championship caliber driver. Historically, he started off his career for Roush Fenway Racing in the Truck Series, where I believe he won 5 races in that single season in the 2000 season and finished runner-up in the standings. I believe finished runner-up in the standings to Greg Biffle in the 2000, I think it was Greg Biffle or Jack Sprague in the 2000 NASCAR Truck Series Championship. Then he ran for the Cup Series. 2001 was not very pretty, but after that, Kurt Busch started flourishing, and then in 2004, won a NASCAR Cup Series Championship. After kind of a rocky 2005 and issues at the end of the year, he went over to Team Penske, where he had a pretty decent time over there. His first year was not really great, but as time went on, he got better, and then he left the team after 2011, which is arguably one of his best seasons at Team Penske. Then after the debacle at Team Penske and at that contract, he went over to Phoenix Racing, where he really wasn't the greatest driver over there, but he got the best out of his equipment and got quite a few top 10s. On top of that, almost won a race with Phoenix Racing in 2012 at Sonoma Raceway, so he's very, very competitive. Then in 2013, he went to Furniture Row Racing, where he did not win a race, but made that 78 car go from a mid-pack team to be a chase caliber team, and was very competitive, very, very consistent, and showed a lot of speed, and was one of the reasons why Furniture Racing became a great organization. Mark Richard definitely helped that foundation for sure, but Kurt Busch made that team really, really good at the beginning in 2013. After 2013, he went to Stewart-Haas Racing in the 2014 season, where he basically won a race at Martinsville in 2014, then won 2 races in 2015, one coming at Richmond, also one coming in Michigan, the 2016 winning at Pocono, 2017 going to Victory Lane in the Daytona 500, where he wasn't as good, but he still was decent, and in 2018, he was able to win at Bristol for the final time, and then in 2019, he moved over to Chip Ganassi Racing that year. In 2019, won a race in Kentucky and made it. I don't think he made it out of the first round of the playoffs. And in 2020, it was shocking. Made it out of the round of 8 with they win at Vegas. And so far this year in 2021, he has scored 1 victory at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And not only did he win the race, he dominated that race against Kyle Busch. So Kurt Busch can still get it done with 32 or 33 Cup Series races. He is going to be that championship caliber driver. Now, here's why this move makes a lot of sense overall. Number one, like I said, that championship caliber stats, where he's been a guy who's been up front on a week-by-week basis every single season. He's been in a car that's really not that good. He took that one car from basically being a 20th to 25th place organization with Jamie McMurray, who drove that car in 2018, to a top 10 consistent driver. Now, 2021 hasn't been really one of the greatest years for Kurt Busch, but he has been at the beginning of the year, but as time has gone on, he has become a much better driver. And you look at what Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan have said overall about Kurt Busch. The comments that they've said about him have been absolutely terrific. They really like Kurt Busch a lot. And this is another thing that's crazy too. Kurt Busch now will have had raced with all 4 manufacturers that raced back in 2010. So he's raced with every single manufacturer as well. Another big reason Kurt Busch is going to be able to mentor Bubba Wallace and go into that organization and be very, very competitive, help Bubba Wallace become a much better driver. I think Bubba Wallace has a very strong shot of making the playoffs next year because I think Kurt Busch is going to bring that championship mindset to Bubba Wallace and make him a much better driver and take Bubba Wallace to the next step. I have said this for a long time that Bubba Wallace needs a big driver, like a championship caliber driver, to help him and help his craft. I think Bubba Wallace has a ton of talent, but he hasn't 100% shown what he's been capable of. But I think Bubba Wallace, with the help from Kurt Busch, he is going to become a much better driver. And I would not be surprised to see Bubba Wallace win some races next year, maybe 1 or 2 races. I think at least he's going to win a race next year, maybe on a super speedway or maybe on a different type of track or like a big track like Michigan or maybe even Martinsville because he's been historically really good at that track. I think that Kurt Busch is going to find a way to help Bubba Wallace become a much better driver. The other big reason, like I said, why Kurt Busch, I think this makes a lot of sense for Kurt Busch to go over his organization, is he brings a ton of funding from Monster Energy. And Monster Energy has been with Kurt Busch since 2012 when he drove for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, and they've stuck with him through his time at Stewart-Haas Racing, through his time at Chip Ganassi Racing, and he has one of the longest active sponsorship engagements with a sponsor. FedEx has got a long engagement too, but he's had a long engagement with Monster Energy that has been active for nearly a decade, which will be a decade going into next season. And I also think that Kurt Busch is going to improve the 23XI organization as well, take them from a team that's been kind of mid-pack all year up to closer to being a playoff team, similar to where RCR is currently at the moment. He's going to be able to do that. Now, what are my expectations for Kurt Busch going into, and how do I think he's going to do in 2021? I think Kurt Busch absolutely will be very, very fast from the beginning. I think the super speedways, this 23XI team has been extremely fast on the super speedways. You look at Bubba Wallace in 2021 so far. Bubba Wallace had arguably the fastest car, one of the fastest cars in the Daytona 500, but had a flat tire and never had a shot to get up front. But even with them being a lap down, Bubba Wallace was still very, very fast and was extremely competitive in that event. And he's been fast at Talladega, won a stage at that race. Unfortunately, they made a bad strategy call with Mike Wheeler, and he was really, really good over there, but he unfortunately didn't get as good of a finish as we thought he was going to get. And then Bubba Wallace at the Daytona race ended up finishing second, of course, across the line third, but Chris Buescher got disqualified, so he never really had an opportunity to go after the win for against Brian Blaney due to caution come out, but Bubba Wallace was in striking distance of contending for the overall victory in the race and avoided the accident lane and almost went on to win the event and led a lot of laps nonetheless as well. So I think that Kurt Busch absolutely will be very, very fast on the super speedways. And another Toyota team as well, that's going to benefit overall. There might be other Toyota teams in the future, which we'll talk about in the near future as well. But also, I think Kurt Busch is going to be very, very strong on the short tracks. 23XI at Martinsville led laps at that event with Bubba Wallace. Of course, strategy helped that organization. But they were up front in that event. And you look at Phoenix as well, where Kurt Busch has been pretty solid throughout his career. Bubba Wallace was on the verge of getting a top 5. Of course, there was a really bad strategy call that ended up taking place. But Bubba Wallace has shown that this team has potential to be a top 5 and a top 10 organization. But I think Kurt Busch is going to take this team overall to the next level. And like I said, he's going to bring a lot to the table. Like I said, I think Kurt will be very fast on some tracks. And I also think that unlike Bubba Wallace, who's not been absolutely that great on the road courses this year, and he's not really shown a lot of road courses, he did get a top 15 at the Indy road course, but hasn't been absolutely great. I think Kurt Busch will also help Bubba Wallace's road course prowess as well. I think he's going to help Bubba become a more consistent road course racer because we've seen Kurt Busch with Chip Ganassi Racing improve on his road course statistics. I mean, I think Kurt Busch is an underrated driver on road courses and tends to run up front of those races. I think Kurt Busch working with him is going to be big. I also think that Kurt Busch is going to help the Toyota program overall and not only just help 23XI Racing, but I think a driver like him is going to help everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, including his brother Kyle Busch. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing is still one of the top organizations, but I wouldn't be 100% surprised in any way or form if Joe Gibbs Racing may be able to go ahead of Hendrick Motorsports. I wouldn't be shocked by that. I don't want to see that happen because I'm a huge Hendrick Motorsports fan, but I think that there is a very strong shot of that overall happening where Kurt Busch could be able to take Toyota to the next step. As Toyota has been wanting to more teams in their organization. There's also talk going on about Front Row Motorsports potentially merging with 23XI Racing and bringing their organization over to Toyota, with Michael McDowell potentially being a third driver over at 23XI Racing next year. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. Now, What do I expect performance-wise from Kurt Busch? I think Kurt Busch is absolutely going to make the playoffs in 2022. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think that he is going to run better than Bubba Wallace throughout the year. I think he's going to be more consistent. I think Kurt Busch is at least minimum going to get 10 to 13 top 10s. I think he's going to get at least 5 or 6 top 5s at minimum. And I think Kurt Busch will at least be about a 10th to 15th place driver in the beginning of the year. I think once Kurt Busch gets enough experience in this car, I think he is going to be very, very fast from the get-go, and I think he's going to show a lot of speed. So I think he will make it, actually. I think this will be a bold take. I think that Kurt Busch, at least minimum, will make it to the round of 12 in the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Plus, and I think Kurt Busch is going to get 23-11's, not only first win, but I think that Kurt Busch in 2022, for the first time since 2015, I think Kurt Busch is going to win multiple races in a single season. I think that equipment has shown that they are capable of contending for wins. And I think that if you put a driver like Kurt Busch in there, which is going to happen next year, I think he's going to take the next step. I think that 23-11 is better than Chip Ganassi Racing, and we've seen what he's been able to do with Chip Ganassi Racing in the 3 years. He's been very consistent, has shown a lot of speed, and I think that what Kurt Busch is going to do is bring a lot to the table to the organization going into 2022. And not only that, I think that both drivers are going to make the playoffs next year. I think that, like I said, both drivers will be fast, show a ton of speed, and I think that 100% going into 2022, I believe that Kurt Busch will not only win one race that year, but he will get 2 victories and get his first multi-win year. I think it's going to happen next year. And this is big for this team. I think that this team has potential to take the next step forward. The other big question is what's going to happen? Who's this going to be his crew chief going in the next year? And who's the spotter going to be for next year? Because Tyler Green, we know he's going to be going over to work Harrison Burr next year. So what happens with spotters? Maybe they bring Brett Griffin over. I mean, Brett Griffin and Freddie Kraft do a podcast together, Door Bumper Clear podcast, and Brett Griffin is really a free agent currently. He does one-off races from time to time, does races with College Racing as a spotter. But he, I think, would be definitely a really good choice to be a spotter for Kurt Busch and work with them and be working together. So I think that's going to happen. As in regards to the crew chief department, I would not be shocked if they somehow get Matt McCall out of the Chip Ganassi stable, because a lot of people from Chip Ganassi, some of them are going to be going over to work at Trackhouse next year. But remember, Trackhouse is bringing acquisition from Chip Ganassi, so a lot of people are going to be out of that team. So he's probably going to end up working with another driver. So I think that if you're Kurt Busch, you don't want to bring up his relationship with Matt McCall. I think that Matt McCall is going to work with Kurt Busch going into the 2022 season, in my honest and sincere opinion. So, anyway, that is it for today's special NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification on so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support our page as well in the description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. How well do you think Kurt Busch is going to perform in the 2022 season? Do you think that Kurt Busch is going to perform extremely well, or do you think Kurt Busch is not going to be as good as he has been with Chip Ganassi Racing? Let me know in the comments below. I should be returning to the normal schedule coming into tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of NASCAR news we're going to talk about that I've missed over the last little bit of time. So we should have a massive catch-up video that's probably going to be really long, so grab the popcorn and stuff when that does happen. But I will have a special catch-up news video that will be dropping out here really, really soon. I hope you guys are able to check it out really, really soon. But anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content like this. Take care, everybody.